Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me at Ivana International. I have today the honor and pleasure of introducing you to Lynn.flv. Lynn, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So Lynn, what do you do?
I work in public relations, and I have a web-based business that I started as an entrepreneur.
Well, would you consider yourself then the typical American woman?
I think so. I think so, yes. I'm a working mother, which is pretty typical for American women these days.
How many children do you have?
I have 2 sons.
2 boys.
2 boys, yes.
How old are they?
They're 5 and 3.
They're adorable.
They're a handful.
I've seen them. Lynn, tell me please, what do you think is important for an American woman in today's society?
Women here in America, we kind of want it all. We want to have a wonderful job and a fulfilling career. We want to have fulfilling, happy marriages, and we'd like to have happy, well-adjusted children to make our lives feel complete. And all of those things are very time-consuming. So I think a lot of women in striving for those things end up sort of exhausted and kind of struggling to keep up with all of those pressures.
Who do you think epitomizes the American woman in today's society?
I think Reese Witherspoon would be someone that I would consider an American woman who seems to have her life in balance.
Now, we both live in Washington, D.C. area, which is very international. What is your impression of foreign women?
Well, I feel so lucky to have grown up here in Washington and to have been exposed to so many different cultures, as a child and well into my adulthood. I think the contrast between Washington and New York is quite interesting as well. I feel like here in Washington, the cultural differences are really valued and appreciated, and I think that we all love to learn about people from other countries. In New York, where I also lived, I felt like the cultural differences were almost kind of melted away in people's desire and ambition to do well for themselves and their families in work and in their industry. But here in Washington, I feel like the American characteristics of optimism and open-mindedness are very strong. So I think that we all love to have, foreign women here. We love to see how they dress and how they do their hair and what sort of fashions they bring from their own countries. The American aesthetic is actually quite simple and plain, so for us it's refreshing and also a view into a culture that we might not be familiar with by, meeting women from other countries. And I would have to generalize and say that I do think that foreign women tend to be far more glamorous and much more elegant, and for me, I think it's very exciting. I like to see how they dress or wear their hair.
So what about foreign men?
My experience with foreign men has, I think that it seems that men from other countries versus America, they tend to be much more romantic and much more full of a kind of a joyful spirit, and they tend to embrace life in a little more of a relaxed and carefree way. And I find that point of view refreshing. Here in the U.S., we tend to get very busy with our lives and work, and there seems to be a kind of a high element of stress, sometimes forgetting to enjoy life. And so my interactions with the few European men that I know is that they don't really forget to stop and appreciate a pretty day or a pretty girl. Recently met a man who was from Italy out for drinks, and I'm an American girl, and we had kind of agreed on one place, and he called me back and switched the venue because he didn't think it was romantic enough. So we ended up meeting at a Spanish wine bar here in D.C., and I had not met him before, and it was a very cold night. It was in January, but I had on a kind of a shirt like this, and as soon as I met this man, he just sort of grabbed me and he's like, "Oh, Bella, Bella," and he started kissing my cheeks, and then he grabbed my arm, Ivana, and he started kissing my arm like, "Mwah, mwah, mwah, mwah."
That would be very Italian.
And I had just met him, and I was so shocked, and I almost didn't know what to say, after I reflected on it, I thought it was so different, and it was so different from how an American man, I think, would have interacted with someone that he had just met. And like I said, it's maybe not my style, but it's definitely refreshing.
So, is the American saying that blondes have more fun? Is it accurate?
Oh, absolutely, Iwana. I'm surprised you haven't dyed your hair yet. It's so much fun to be blonde in the U.S.
Lynn, thank you so much for being here and for being fun, as you always are.
Thank you for having me, Iwana.
And thank you all for watching. Hope to see you next time. Goodbye.